Assalamu alaikum, sister. Thank you for writing to our live session. As I see your question here, it is very concise and you've articulated your concerns and your history very well. Thank you so much. That really helps and assists when attempting to provide an answer, inshallah. So I do appreciate that. Thank you. Also, you state that you're a revert to Islam. Alhamdulillah, this is one of the most beautiful journeys that you'll take in your life, and may Allah make it easy for you. As I understand, you stated that you try to the best of your ability to practice your faith, but it does ebb and flow. I just want to let you know that yes, during one's lifetime, our faith can ebb and flow. That's natural. But the main point with that is to just make dua to Allah, ask for Allah's forgiveness and mercy, and ask Him to help you, keep the flow going and keep your understanding and your obedience strong, inshallah. So the reason that you're writing is that you're finding it difficult to forgive extended family for things that have happened in the past, right? So some of the examples that you gave was that your mom and dad split up when you were about 2, and your mom moved back into her parents' house where her younger brother also lived. And you grew up in a non-practicing Christian Catholic household where family was seen as everything and strangers were viewed with distrust and suspicion. So at that time, when you were growing up, you were very close to your grandmother, or your nan, as you call her, and you cared for her until she passed away. Unfortunately, your mom had a hard time and a difficult time because she was treated practically like a slave, as you state, and she was called lazy, she wasn't allowed to have friends, and so forth. Also, her siblings were jealous of her because she lived with your grandparents. With that said, you always wanted to go to the university and get an education, and you were encouraged to do so, which is good. However, you never felt that you could confide in your cousins because you felt that they were always waiting to see you fail because of the toxic dynamics of the family situation. Then when you were 17, you were with your auntie and she had a psychotic breakdown one day, and that propelled you into a period of bulimia and self-harm. I can imagine that experience was very alarming and very scary, and I'm assuming that you did not have anybody to talk to about it, of how it scared you or made you feel. I'm not sure how long that you were bulimic and did self-harm, but I'm hoping, inshallah, that period of your life is over with. And if it's not, sister, please do seek out counseling in your area to deal with the bulimia and self-harm behaviors if you're still doing that. There is help, and you can break free from those maladaptive behaviors. And I just want to say that, the bulimia and self-harm are common among young women who have been traumatized or who feel they have no control over their lives. So it's not like, a stigma or something you should be ashamed of, but rather it's something that was a result of things in your life that were not your fault, right? Not your fault. And it was a way of coping with all that pain. But there is treatment, and the treatment can lead to a much happier and healthier and well-adjusted life for you if you've not already done it. When your grandmother passed away when you were 20, that caused you to go into a depression. And understandably so. It seems you were very close to her. And you did want to move away from home, but your mom wouldn't let you. And in any event, you had to, stay with your mother. I think you may have felt like you needed to take care of her, and you're sort of responsible for her, because as you describe your mom, that she's always been jumpy, has low self-esteem, doesn't want to be alone, and she was constantly put down by her family, so she was never allowed to be her own person. So as a result, she's also incredibly anxious. So again, a question is, has your mom ever got counseling? Has your mom ever stated that, she's depressed or she feels anxious? Or is this just, like your observations, which is probably true, right? But it would be nice if your mom could get, some assistance with mental health as well, because she's also been through a lot, and she's dedicated her life to, raising you and making sure that you had things, and took care of her mother and, her siblings, and she's really sacrificed a lot as well, right? So I can understand your hesitancy, to leave her to begin your own life. However, as a result of her neediness, it caused you to shut down even more, and you couldn't maintain friendships or confide in anyone, and you also struggled, to complete your university education. Despite all of this, sister, you prevailed, right? You illustrated your strength and your determination, and with Allah's mercy, you graduated with your bachelor's degree. And that is something to be really proud of. And you also have a good job. And that is something, that is a significant life milestone, right? And you should be really proud of yourself, especially since you came from a background, that was so turmoilous and confusing at times for you, and filled with a lot of negativity from your relatives. So I just want to say that, you should be really proud of yourself, and, recognize your strengths and recognize the things that you have accomplished despite all of the trauma and all of the drama with family. Now, about 18 months ago, you stated that you saved up enough money to buy a home for yourself, and you did have your mom and your oldest uncle move in with you. However, your mom had your uncle and herself pay a third of the rent when she moved, and you were kind of upset about that because she didn't consult you first, but possibly she was just trying to help, sister, right? The problem now that is coming in is that you don't feel comfortable in your own home practicing Islam in front of them, and your uncle still drinks excessively, he's argumentative, and your mom is still extremely clingy to you, and you can't go anywhere without her. And if you get in the car and want to go somewhere, she gets really upset. So this has really impeded your growth, your social development, your practicing of Islam, as well as other areas of your life. So in this situation, sister, this is your own home. You purchased it, you own it, and you have every right to set the rules for your home. Okay? Like, this is your home, you're Muslim, and, number one rule is, an Islamic foundation. You can make a list of things that you'll permit in your home and things you will not permit in your home. For example, if your uncle wants a place to live, he can't drink there, and he can't come home drunk, right? And your mom, that's your mom, and we have respect and love, and we take care of our parents. However, she doesn't have the right to hold you down and make you stay in the house or make you stay home with her. What you can do is state that, you do have a life to live, and you do need a social life. You do need to go to the masjid. You need to go to Islamic events because you enjoy them. And that if she feels afraid to be alone or doesn't want to be alone, that she does need to engage in counseling, right? So the thing about that is, if she knows you love her, she knows she has a safe place to live. But on the other hand, she's given the ultimatum of, this is my daughter's home. I can't be clingy and needy. I need to address my mental health issues. So inshallah, sister, if you propose that to her in a kind and loving way, that's what she really needs to do, so that everybody can live there in harmony and in peace and in freedom, then hopefully she'll, seek out counseling. Or perhaps you could set up a counseling appointment for her so she can get help. And honestly, it sounds like she needed, intervention a long time ago. As you reiterated, that you don't mind taking care of them, and you would always take care of them, and that's a very loving heart that you have, right? However, yes, you do have a right to socialize and settle down, get married, and have a family. However, you're finding it difficult to see that in the future with the way things are now. So that's where, setting down the rules of your own home come into importance, right? And your expectations of the people who live with you and who depend on you. Just like I'm sure your mom had certain expectations upon her when she lived with her mother, and you had certain expectations upon you when you lived with your mother and your grandmother, correct? Right? So it's kind of like the same situation. It's not that you're trying to tell your mother what to do or this or that, but you're trying to live your best life as a Muslim. And her behaviors and her clinginess due to her mental health is interfering with that. So yes, you do have every right to request that, that she seeks help so that things are not so emotional for her when you need to go out, or you want to see your friends, or you would like to have find a spouse in the future and have a family. Now is a time, really, since it wasn't done in the past, to address these issues with your mom before you do get married, right? Because what's going to happen if you get married and you have a husband and then children, and your mom is super clingy and needy? And I'm not just meaning in a mild way, but I'm meaning in a way that will really truly interfere with your children, your husband's relationship. You're all practicing of Islam. These things have to be rectified, prior to that. But, inshallah, your mom will realize and recognize, that she does need help, and she will be, amicable to seeking out help, or accepting your offers to help her find a counselor in your area to deal with what she's going through and to resolve it. As far as your uncle, the same principle, applies to him, right? You do love your uncle, and you feel bad for him because he's been enabled all of his life. However, the fact still remains that he is sick as well. He is an alcoholic, right? And he also needs treatment. And being that he's living in your home and you are a Muslim, you should not have any alcohol in your home, or people who are drunk, and so forth. And it is your right to request that he does go into treatment and deal with his problem. Because between your mom's mental health issues and your uncle's alcoholism, it's just like going back into the days when you were a child and you had to deal with all of that. Only now you are a grown woman. You graduated with a bachelor's degree. You have a good job. You bought a home. And you're in your kindness and in your mercy, you're providing a place for them to live. So with that said, in order for things to be happy for you, the owner of the home, some changes have to be made, and they have to be willing to compromise on some of their values and on some of their behaviors that have enabled them and that have kept them all of these decades kind of like incapacitated, right? They have not lived really full lives because of these encumbrances, such as alcoholism, and your mom with her neediness and clinginess due to, being emotionally abused by her family. So your final question is really like, what we've been discussing all along. Like, how do you forgive your mom's siblings? And you've struggled with how they treated you, and you're seeing the outcomes of this treatment in your uncle, in your mom, and in yourself as well, right? Because it's affected you too. A lot of this probably had a traumatizing effect on you, evidenced by your previous episodes of bulimia and self-harm. So forgiveness is like, it's a funny thing, right? We want to forgive people, but we have a hard time forgetting, right? And sometimes when things have been so traumatic, that's where the hard time forgetting comes in. And we may feel like we haven't forgiven them, but we keep not forgetting, right? So the thing is to remember that we want Allah to forgive us, correct? And we're so blessed to have Allah to go to ask for forgiveness and to repent. And Allah loves to forgive, and He's so merciful, right? So if we expect to be forgiven by Allah, we have to forgive others. And all those things that happened with your mom's siblings, that's in the past. You can't go back and change it. You can't move forward and keep thinking about it because it's just hurting you more and more. And basically, the only thing you can do, sister, is focus on how you are responding to your feelings and thoughts, right? So if you start to think about the past and you start to get angry or hurt, that's like reacting, okay? Because you're not thinking it through. You're just reacting on your emotions in the moment. If you take a few deep breaths and just relax, and like the old saying is count to 10, right? And then let yourself feel something. You might be inclined more to feel like, well, that's in the past, I can't do nothing now. Or you might be inclined to feel, well, I need to move forward, right? So this is what this is all about, is moving forward. You can't go back and change things, but you can control how you respond to your feelings and to the way people treat you and to certain behaviors that go on around you, right? So instead of reacting, right, which comes from like our amygdala, it's like the flight or fight response. We want to react to something real fast. Just take a little bit of time when you're feeling your emotions, getting rose up. Take a little bit of time and just breathe and just think, future forward. Make a dua to Allah. Ask Allah to help you with this. And just think about forward, right? Forward is really a powerful word because when we move forward, we're not stuck in the past. And when we're not stuck in the past, we're not focused on the past, right? Especially the past struggles that we have been through and things that people have done to hurt us. We can start to heal, right? And in that healing comes forgetting, right? Like not forgetting what happened, but we're not thinking about it 24/7, or we're not constantly bringing it up in our minds and focusing on it, right? We're focusing on forward. We're focusing on the future, and we're focusing on healing. And with all that comes forgiveness, right? So perhaps you've already forgiven them, but you just keep remembering and you keep focusing on what happened. You can't forget it. So when you start practicing, forward thinking and breathing when you're getting emotional or thinking about it and getting upset, and responding rather than reacting, inshallah, you'll find that these things will start to fade away, right? These memories will not take such a prominence in your life, and you'll be able to focus on your current situations and things you want to do, moving future forward. So with that said, the two things that you really need to do, inshallah, as this is your home and you own it, is to have a conversation with your uncle and your mom about expectations in a Muslim household, in an Islamic household, right? Because your relationship with Allah is the most important relationship, and your ability to practice your religion freely and with joy and without encumbrances, it is also a vital component of your life. So inshallah, you really do need to sit with them and set the ground rules for your home. Assure them that you love them, but there are steps that they need to take as well, just like you've taken, to start the healing process so everybody can live together in harmony. But again, you need to stress that this is and will be an Islamic household. We wish you the best.